How do you describe this kind of incident, Prof?
Every Nigerian, every human being is saddened by what we saw. My description is, it's not acceptable. This is totally irresponsible. This is not the first time. We've had such incidences in Borno State, Nasarawa State recently. We've had incidents in Benue State. We've had such incidences in Kaduna State, and now in Kaduna State, the home state of the Chief of Defense Staff. Each time we hear the military telling us it was a mistake, regrettable. Our military killing our people instead of protecting our people. A time of war, when our people are suffering, bandits are killing us all over the land, the military is dropping ordnance on our people. It's not acceptable. What this has shown, number one, is clear incompetence. You have a young operative somewhere sitting, watching a screen, and then just dropping a bomb on people, predominantly women and children.
It's an unmanned air.
Yeah, but somebody did it. Yeah, somebody was managing it
remotely.
Absolutely. It didn't come from the sky or from Niger or anywhere. Drones are controlled. Somebody must take responsibility, and it shows incompetence, it shows lack of training, and it shows lack of supervision in the military. Who gave this young operative order to press that button to drop a bomb? Who did? We are dropping a bomb on human beings, predominantly women and children. We have seen clips, videos of this family, of these children and women before, and we saw them charred in this bomb. They should not be bombing people, they should go and be bombing Sambisa Forest.
Have you heard the side of the Nigerian the defense headquarters, what they said about this? The defense headquarters said it is regrettable, and the fact that the military views these, that every civilian death in the course of operation is a tragedy, and such tragedies are needless and unwanted, and which causes the armed forces to take extensive measures to avoid them. They went further to say, for instance, communities are to always alert troops of their activities, particularly when such a community is known to be infested with tourists and their sympathizers. They are saying that oftentimes that there are embedding of terrorists within some of these communities. Doesn't this make the work of the military difficult?
This irritates everybody, and it should. Where is the military intelligence? What intelligence did they use to drop bombs on people? Do they think they are going to win this war on banditry just by dropping bombs from the sky?
They say that it should be noted that terrorists often deliberately embed themselves within civilian population centers for the civilian population to bear the consequences of their atrocities.
Right. For goodness sake, the military, whoever is writing this, they should take him off. This is a time when sensible, reasonable people should be talking. The military should completely own this tragedy and not be given excuses. These are excuses that we have no patience for. These are excuses. Whoever is writing that and sending it out should be removed from office. The military leadership should be more responsible to people in grief than that statement. That statement is saying is the fault of the people. No, it isn't. It's the fault of the military, it's the fault of the army specifically, because the Air Force came out the first time and disowned them and said in the last 24 hours they did not conduct any operation. It is the army, the air wing of the army that botched this operation, that killed our people. And they must take full responsibility. And my call to President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, the military cannot investigate itself, because it has not investigated itself in all the massacres it has conducted over the air.
If you are to advise, or if you are to say the kind of and the manner in which the investigation should go or take, what would you do?
Independent of the military. All the bombs they've dropped on people over the last, in all the 5 states they did, what came of it in their investigation? I am calling on President Bola Ahmed Tinubu to institute a high-powered, independent investigative committee headed by a retired Chief Justice of the Federation. And in that committee, there should be a retired chief of service chief, and an emir, traditional clerics, and CSOs to protect civilians. The military is supposed to protect us, not be killing us. And let me say this only vindicates the concern international community has been having about Nigerian army. You remember during the time of Jonathan, they stopped selling weapons, lethal weapons, to the Nigerian armed forces because of this. And we are seeing this. The world is watching. You are dropping bombs on innocent women and children, going on a religious procession. The military is threading on very, very thin ice. Very, very thin ice. This is, religion comes into this, we are dousing. Traditional rulers, clerics are now talking to people. This is a religious procession. Can Nigerians understand what would have happened if a Christian procession in Plateau or Kaduna was bombed? Big churches from the south specifically would have raised their voices all over Nigeria today. We need to be very, very careful. The military should know better. You become a general to think better than a captain. This is irresponsible.
I mean, in other times, if this kind of situation happens, what do you think would have happened?
They will all resign. Everybody in the chain of command will be fired. The CDS, Chief of Defense Staff, everybody will go. And the president would have cut his trip, come back home and see our people. But here you are apologizing. Where are the ministers? You are going to talk to the Minister of Communication. No, you should be talking to the Ministers of Defense. You should be talking to the NSA. You should be talking to the service chiefs to explain to Nigerians why this happened and what are they going to do to prevent this.
What is going on in the mind of the young fellow who triggered the UAV, who fired that bomb? Perhaps what they were seeing on the screen was a movement of the possible terrorists who they said have merged into these communities, and there are traces, there are historically how these terrorist elements have infested these areas and merged into the communities. Is it possible that some of these terrorists are so sly to the extent to have tricked our forces into this kind of mistake?
This is stupid excuses that we have no patience for.
I mean, I'm just imagining.
No.
Let me just read in the mind.
Let me tell you
what the possibility.
That is the reason you should have intelligence on the ground.
Before taking a shot.
That young man sitting there doing that, he doesn't do it on his own. There has to be intelligence on the ground. They escalate to the big bosses. The big boss will ask him to do what he did. That is why only an independent committee, not within the military, can bring this out. The military cannot investigate itself, and we should not allow it to investigate itself. And the military, especially the army, it has shown its inexperience in all of this. It should suspend all drone activities until this is fully investigated.
Is this a setback of some sort?
Absolutely.
On the assault on terrorism in Nigeria?
So now we are talking. We have been talking the new service chiefs since they have come. They've been singing the same old song we've had over the last 8 years. But we have not seen any new ideas or plans to do anything differently. This problem is sad, it's tragic, and people should be held responsible. From the Chief of Defense Staff, who is the top military officer, to the Chief of Army Staff, to the GOC, down the rank.
If you were President Tinubu, what would you do today?
Today, like I said, I will institute a high-powered investigative committee headed by a retired Chief Justice of the Federation.
Would you get on the ground yourself?
Pardon?
Would you get on the ground yourself?
Me
if you were the president?
Absolutely. President Biden will go anywhere. As the president of the strongest country in the world. But our president just sit down there and just keep issuing affirmation by this thing. You need to be there. You need to talk with people.
85 persons.
More. No, it's more.
These are mothers. These are young girls.
These are children.
These are people, children.
These are children.
These are people's families. These are people who have future ahead of them.
Yes, and the army.
Yes. All of a sudden.
And the army is telling us they are infiltrated. Do not annoy us. You've annoyed us. You've killed enough people. do the right thing, accept responsibility, step back, and allow full investigation. Suspend all drone activities within that theater of operation. And Mr. President, we call on you to institute a high-powered committee